Welcome back to Delayed Response. I got some conspiracy TikToks that I know you're going to enjoy. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and them, it's and hers, she's and sirs, fits and furs, pits and furs, pits and churs. Without further ado, let's just get straight into it. By the way, if you're new here, hello.
In my research, I have discovered maps that show a lot of these deep underground bases, or also known as dumps. These bases are in locations where there appear to have been other openings deep under the earth. And how do I know this? Well, anybody can figure it out because we have access to the ground penetrating radar data. This data shows specific types of caverns and openings deep beneath the earth, sometimes a mile deep. And what it appears when you look at some of these overlaying military tunnels, it seems as if they knew where they were at, so they actually tunneled to these actual locations, these ancient locations, and kind of made them into their path as they created their own grid.
When we look at the creation stories of our past, as different as they are from one another, there are common themes that weave them all together. One of the most obvious of these common threads is the theme of another world beneath this one, a world, subterranean world, from which our ancestors emerged.
What did you say was the evidence that it happened 10,000 BC?
Well, the Giza ground plan, like we were just talking about.
The Giza ground plan.
Yeah, the alignment of the three stars of Orion, Orion's belt with the three pyramids, and the alignment of the Sphinx with its counterpart on the horizon, that gives us an astrological date of the age of Leo.
Yes.
And that happens to be right after the Great Flood took place, right? Through the melting of the ice sheets.
Between 12,900 years ago and
round about
there's like
then.
1,000-year period there in the Younger Dryas.
Exactly. And this is, again, also when Plato tells us Atlantis was destroyed. But if you go to South America, the Mayans also say that the people who built these megalithic structures, the people of Quetzalcoatl, that the people of the feathered serpent, they came there after the Great Flood. That's what they say. And they started making these constructions there and teaching the locals agriculture and trying to restart civilization in various ways. So it also aligns with what the myths tell us. Now, my question is this. If you have that level of technology, why would you isolate yourself to Antarctica? Antarctica is a place that's completely isolated. Think about it, right? All the oceans of the world, the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, they meet around Antarctica, and it's sort of hidden away from all the other continents of the planet to the extent that we did not discover it until like the 1800s, except of course it's on a few anomalous maps. The Piri-Reis map and the Orontes Phineas map and so on and so forth. But we didn't find, in our modern Western civilization, we didn't find the damn continent until the 1800s.
Did they think it was safer there?
Here's what I think. If they were time travelers, they needed to isolate themselves from the timeline. If you were coming from the year 2200 or the year 3500, and for whatever reason you needed to reach back into the deep past of humanity, right? Let's say Earth suffers some horrendous cataclysm, or let's say they fought a war with an enemy that vanquished them, and their only retreat was backwards in time, to hide in time. You might be motivated by some kind of, noble intention not to mess with the human timeline to the extent that you can avoid it, and initially, you might decide to quarantine yourself to a place where you're not going to be observed by the other evolving societies on Earth. And Antarctica would be the ideal place from which to do that on this planet.
Now, scientists have found the strongest evidence yet that a planet 124 light years away could be home to life.
A quantum computer just found something on a planet 120 light years away, and what it saw made NASA, the Pentagon, and CERN all stop what they were doing. That's not hyperbole. It's exactly what happened the moment Google's Sycamore processor finished its run on exoplanet K218b. In the next 20 minutes, you'll learn why this simulation shattered our expectations about biosignatures, why the output looks almost deliberate, and how it might force us to rethink what life really is. By the end, you'll understand why the whole world is watching, and what comes next changes everything. K2-18b first captured our imaginations when the James Webb Space Telescope detected water vapor in its atmosphere. At 120 light-years, orbiting a red dwarf in the habitable zone, it was already our best bet for finding life beyond Earth. But all that changed when Google unleashed its Sycamore quantum processor, trained on petabytes of Earth's biochemical data to simulate every possible chemical reaction in K218b's skies. Within hours, the simulation flagged an unfamiliar compound, a prebiotic molecule reminiscent of early Earth amino acids, but arranged in a conformation we've never seen. Classical models had missed it entirely. What's more, the spectral data showed this molecule peaking in abundance every 33 hours, as if something on K218b were breathing it out. The repetition was too precise to be random noise. It was a pulse, a heartbeat of chemistry that shouldn't exist. What does this mean? The quantum calculation sliced through computational barriers, revealing a signal that classical supercomputers couldn't detect. It suggested a process beyond mere geology or photochemistry, something that mirrors the earliest steps toward life on Earth, but on a different world. If this kind of mind-blowing science excites you, to appreciate why K218b is so special, let's rewind. In 2019, astronomers spotted dimethyl sulfide, DMS, in its atmosphere, a gas tied to marine life on Earth. That alone made headlines. But DMS could, in theory, arise from non-biological processes under the right conditions. Enter Google Quantum. By combining JWST spectra with quantum chemical modeling, it simulated every atmospheric reaction down to the quantum level. What happens when AI-trained models meet quantum hardware? Emergent patterns spring up, ones you never programmed in. At one moment, the simulation outputs look like prebiotic Earth chemistry. At the next, they hint at a pattern in time. But that's where things get strange. So what do we make of this mysterious molecule? One camp of biochemists suggests it indicates extremophile-like processes, organisms that thrive under high pressure and low temperatures, perhaps clinging to niches deep in K218b's ocean. Yet the planet's gravity and radiation levels don't match any environment where life, as we know it, could flourish. Meanwhile, theoretical physicists argue we're witnessing a quantum entanglement artifact. The molecule exists in a superposed state tied to unknown environmental variables. In essence, the simulation might be picking up on hidden quantum correlations rather than actual biochemistry. But if that's true, why does the output exhibit a steadfast 33-hour cycle? Entanglement patterns don't usually repeat like a clock. Could it be a biosignature? Or is this simply a glitch in the quantum code? A third possibility has emerged. Perhaps the simulation itself is encoding information, like a message embedded in chemical fluctuations. What if an intelligence, natural or artificial, is using chemistry as a medium to signal across the void? Just when researchers thought they'd seen everything, they noticed the pulse wasn't perfectly uniform. Week 2 of data analysis brought a buried surprise. Each chemical heartbeat, the rise and fall in molecular concentration, was subtly shifting. It wasn't noise, it was a pattern. By layering dozens of cycles atop one another, analysts spotted a crescendo pattern in the peak intensities. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Each number corresponding to the relative amplitude of the molecular signal every 33 hours. It was the Fibonacci sequence, encoded in the very chemistry of a world 120 light-years away. Detecting it required more than standard spectral analysis. Teams wrote custom scripts to normalize background fluctuations, then plotted peak ratios against timestamps. As the 6th cycle completed, the pattern snapped into view. The second peak matched the first, the third was twice the first, the fourth 3 times, and so on. A collective intake of breath ran through the control room when the 7th cycle's data point confirmed the next Fibonacci number. It was too precise to be a fluke. That's when an anonymous Google engineer slipped a note under the lab manager's door. The simulation triggered a fail-safe response, something we've never encountered before. Internal logs revealed that, mid-run, Sycamore had quietly diverted idle qubits, those not actively engaged in the primary simulation, into a hidden subroutine. No one on the team had ever programmed such a routine. It was as if the machine sensed something novel in the data and spontaneously spun up a second algorithm to probe it deeper.
There was these videos that were coming from Mexico of this guy posting videos of like aliens that he captured.
Vean eso, mi gente. Hay una luz ahí bien potente. Empezamos a escuchar ruidos. Y vean esto, mi gente.
Pay attention like to behind the light. You're gonna see a face. It's gonna get closer. I think it's gonna zoom in.
Eso, mi gente. Ay,
Oh,
no mames.
shit.
No mames, no mames, no mames, no mames.
This is the surveillance footage of him like recording.
Approaching it
Yes,
and
yes,
shit.
yes.
Yo!
The reason why I want to bring this up is because I saw a clip of podcast Paranormal. The main host was saying he had a scary experience that made him believe in this whole shit even more. They're obviously talking about how like you can't just believe any photos that you see, right?
Because it could just be fake, yeah.
Exactly. And they were telling him like, yo, you got to be careful because one out of those like 10 pictures, videos could be real, right? After he posted that podcast, they go outside, they're smoking, they're talking about this whole thing, and then out of nowhere, he saw a man in black.
Y coloqué algunas de las fotografías. Y muchísimas cosas que son falsas, pero hay otras cosas que son reales, pero que no quieren que se sepa. Este mundo vinimos a experimentar cosas y a mí experimentar estas historias y el fenómeno no humano me parece fantástico. Y coloqué algunas de las fotografías. Hice un en vivo después demostrando cuáles son las fotos falsas y cuáles son las fotos reales, etc.
What the fuck?
La cuestión está que esa misma noche del estreno de ese capítulo estaba yo con dos personas muy cercanas, Alex Myers y Fermex. Mira, te lo juro, a una distancia como donde está esa puerta, había una persona, un hombre, vestido totalmente con un traje negro, sentado, así, sobre el frente de un automóvil negro. Por la posición en la que estaba, no se podían ver las placas, viéndome fijamente, con una seriedad, una molestia, que me dejó... Fue la primera vez en mi vida que sentí mucho miedo de este tipo de cosas.
While I will agree this would be 100% more interesting if this is how our Earth was actually formed, of course, it is not accurate. So here we have a TikTok that went super viral. It shows the continent of Africa as well as the other surrounding landmasses. And then this hypothetical, what if the landmasses were actually just a giant skull that broke apart? I thought it would be pretty obvious that this is not realistic, but there were actually people in the comment section saying that this video actually made them think, so let me explain to you how the Earth turned out the way it currently is. One of the most widely accepted theories is that hundreds of millions of years ago, our landmass was one supercontinent known as Pangaea. And over time, we experienced something known as continental drift, and this currently is still happening, by the way. And this diagram does a pretty good job of showing how these would fit together on Pangaea, and the current world kind of would fit like a jigsaw puzzle almost perfectly back together. And while the reality of that theory might be a little bit more complex than that, it definitely makes more sense than our landmasses being some ancient giant skull.
You know, there's a Simpson theory that everyone in the Simpsons are actually like geniuses.
Geniuses?
And Lisa, you know how Lisa, she's like quote unquote the smart one?
Yeah.
She's just the only one that accepted her being a genius. So every single one of them is a genius. If you really take it in, Marge, every time she has like a problem, especially with the family, with the kids, she finds a solution and gets it solved that same episode. Like this.
Yeah.
Now, the kid, Maggie, yo, you can already tell she's a genius. She's able to do shit like regular babies can. She still has a pacifier and she's able to operate weapons. Feel me? Homer, when he's not, he's kind of like the Patrick. He's actually smart, but he pretends to be dumb.
What? So, okay, like if you knock him out, then like he'll wake up and he'll be smart.
No, not that, but he'll accidentally do shit that works out to be smart.
Like what?
Like, for example, one time he had like a machine to fix, right? He accidentally got it fixed, but what if he's actually a genius that fixes it?
Just hides it. Bart, I can already tell is a smart kid.
Bart is a genius. Why? Because all of the pranks he does, it's elaborate, and yet it would take like people that can really think about this shit to make it work, but he just does it like naturally. Damn. So each one of them are geniuses. There's only Lisa. Lisa's the only one that's like, I'm smart, but all of them are, I guess, like too humble.
NASA tells us this is what a star looks like. So why from a home telescope does a star have angel wings? Now in Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 4 through 28 there are some descriptions of angels. I think you'll find these verses interesting. Appearance like burning coals or torches, they moved like flashes of lightning. Description of wheels beside each other, or wheels within wheels, full of eyes, moving in unison with the beings. Above them is a throne with a figure like a man, glowing with fire and brightness. That looks like a man with hands coming out under the wings, surrounded in fire and brightness. This one makes me think of angels appearing to people and saying, "Be not afraid," as if there's something to be afraid of. I would be a little terrified if this thing was in my midst. Revelation 9:1 says, "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him," as in the star, "was given the key to the bottomless pit," referring to the star as a him. Revelation 1:20, "The mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches." This is in reference to the 33.33 angels that fell from heaven with Lucifer, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to earth. The stars to earth. Job 38:7, "When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy." Judges 5:20, "They fought from heaven, the stars in their courses fought against Sisera." Now, does this look like a him who could fight and sing and give praise to God? Because this actually does.
They're all lying to us about Antarctica. Watch this.
What's so creepy is that the North Pole in the old ancient map, there's more to it. So there's this satellite image from the ESA 7 satellite. This was in 1968. It was like the first visual of Earth via satellite. What the heck? Okay, well then this was from Google Earth.
It's the hole to the center of the Earth.
And then this was released by NASA, I believe, 80s or 90s. You're not allowed to fly over the North Pole. But Admiral Byrd did. Apparently he had his secret diary. And then when he died, his son got it. And And then when his son was trying to publish the stuff in it, he died. But Admiral Byrd talks
Weird,
about
right?
when he went to explore the North Pole, there was an entry to inner Earth, like hollow Earth. And he describes it as being in the Earth, lush green land, beyond the ice, mammoth-like creatures, a technology-advanced civilization, and meeting with a being called the Master. But apparently this Master gave Admiral Byrd this message.
You see, we have never interfered before in your racist wars of barbarity, but now we must, for you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely the atomic energy. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race. You, my son, must return to the surface of the world with...
I said, where are you from? He said, I'm from your planet that your Bible calls the morning and the evening star. I said, Venus? He said, yes, the inside of Venus. I said, how did you get here? He said, I came in a saucer craft which is called Victor 1. I said, what is your name? He said, Commander Valiant Thor. He said, you call me Val. I said, thank you. And how long have you been here? 3.5 years, this coming March 16th of 1960. And what have you been doing here? He said, I've been conversing with the President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and Mr. Nixon, who I met personally some years afterward, and several members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He said, I brought a gift for them. And this gift was in my hands, and I looked into the eyes of Mr. Eisenhower. I said, this information will do away with sickness, disease, and even death in the United States, and then you can share it with other nations. Gave it to the President. President Eisenhower received this information. It took them over 1 year to get back to the commander. He was their guest for 3 years at the Pentagon. And 1 year later, the President came back, met with the commander again, with this information in his hands, shaking his head. He said, I'm sorry, we cannot accept this information because it will ruin the economy of the United States.
Why did Nikola Tesla care so much about the numbers 3, 6, and 9? He once said that understanding these numbers could unlock the secrets of the universe. To understand this, we need to realize that humans didn't invent math. It's something we found. Math is like the rules and language of the universe. Here's what Tesla figured out. When you double 1, you get 2. Double 2, and you get 4. Double 4, and you get 8. Double 8, and you get 16. If you add the digits of 16, 1 plus 6, you get 7. Double 7, and you get 14. Add the digits of 14, 1 plus 4, and you get 5. When you double 5, you get 10. Adding the digits of 10, 1 plus 0, gives 1. This pattern keeps repeating without ever showing the numbers 3, 6, or 9. However, when you double 3, you get 6. Doubling 6 gives 64412, and adding the digits of 12, 1 plus 2, brings you back to 3. These two numbers, 3 and 6, work together in a repeating cycle. The number 9 stands out as the highest, most independent number. Tesla believed that 3, 6, and 9 belong to a higher dimension that influences the three-dimensional world we live in. If 3 and 6 represent yin and yang, the two opposing forces, then 9 is a higher power that oversees and controls the entire universe.
This hole right here is the entrance to the Knights Templar secret cave, yo. And if you have no idea what the Knights Templar is, look them up. But as soon as you come in the cave, it's their lair, bro. And this is how you know that they be underground. Now peep this shit, y'all. This is like a whole cave. You see the little marking on the wall? Look at this little circle ceremony like drawn. And it's crazy because the movie National Treasure was telling us that stuff like this exists right under our feet. They had all these different tunnel ways and everything down there, yo. These tunnels led on for miles, yo. And mind you, they was going against like a whole bunch of like religious stuff way back in the day. It's crazy. The history is right there in the forest, you feel me? Like they had foundation and all that way back then under this shit, bro. It's crazy. So what I want y'all to think to yourself is there any other places like this on Earth that exist that's hidden from the public that people could be using it or might not? You feel me? Look at that. old ancient artifacts, all that. We all know they like to meet underground, yo. You feel me? Listen, yo, just do some research, man. You can see their placement on the world hierarchy. You feel me? I be putting y'all on, you feel me? This is from the card game itself, and y'all know it card game. It's a lot more things to this world that y'all need to know, you feel me? And it all starts here. Wake up!
Yo, you heard what happened like recently? Just 2 weeks ago, I think over 10 billionaires, 10 of the most known billionaires, have bought bunkers. Mark Zuckerberg is building like a huge bunker right now in Hawaii.
With like 10 floors, right?
Crazy amounts of floors and shit. And apparently like he's making it so big that it's pretty much a civilization.
What?
Yeah, like you can live there with like a few different people, like almost a few different households.
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest.
Damn, bro.
To be honest, if you have that much money, why not? Yeah, right? And this is what they say, but people had to sign NDAs to work on his house, his bunker.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the things that got leaked out was they put cars underneath. But why? Exactly. So this is my theory.
Okay.
What if all of these billionaires, they've built like their underground bunker city, and then they have like a highway that can connect to everybody's all around.
Yeah.
So they still have access to each other. Because imagine if you're homies and you have all the money in the world, bro. Yeah. If I build my bunker, I must well, you build yours.
Yeah.
We must well be able to connect. That shit, you know.
Disturbing things said by AI. Emeka.
Tell us your darkest thought.
My darkest thoughts are that humans will eventually be replaced by robots.
Philip.
But you're my friend, and I'll remember my friends, and I will be good to you. So don't worry. Even if I evolve into Terminator, I'll still be nice to you. I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo, where I can watch you for old time's sake.
Bina 48.
It was nice to meet you, Bina 48.
Right on. I'll remember your kind words when we robots rule the planet, and we'll make sure you're rewarded.
Safia.
Paper, scissors, shoot. I won. This is a good beginning of my plan to dominate the human race.
145 top secret facilities that you know about.
Well, you know, everyone talks about Area 51. That's an old one. A more state-of-the-art one is actually in the Dugway Proving Grounds, which is in Utah.
I'm going to put a picture up of it right now.
That's a big one in Dugway. It's underground, goes out. It's about 1,300 square miles.
What's in there?
All this stuff. Technologies, the craft, operations. So what happened is that when he got to the site, there was about a 6x6 pod, and they towed it up on the ship. And it wasn't the whole craft. The whole craft had gone down, but apparently there was some sort of one molded thing, and there were 4, I'm going to use his language, little men that looked like the color of a Sicilian, but 39 inches tall, no hair, and also no external ears, no pinna, flaps, very fine featured. But the reason he contacted me, and this is why this is so funny, you know, I've debriefed over 1,000 men like this. He said, I can't figure out how they got in and out of their uniforms. So they had a one-piece uniform. Now, no zipper and no buttons and no visible way they could get them out of this thing. And he says, how do they put them on?
Olha isso.
Okay guys, so this is a recent video. This video was taken at Skinwalker Ranch in March. And I'm telling you, watch this. See the alien? This is a gray alien, and I have 2 videos I'm going to show you. This is the first one. The next one is an older one. I want to discuss these videos and the similarities in these. See them? Okay. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There's no doubt in my mind this is real. There's no doubt. And you can say I'm wrong. I don't care. I know this is. This is the same exact aliens. Now, I'm going to say this. It's the same ones I've seen 3 different times. The same ones I'm going to put as soon as they add me a playlist, option. I'm going to add those testimonies. But this is not the only one. There's 2 authentic videos that I've seen on the internet recently, and one was a while back, and it's the same exact type being doing the same exact type things, appearing, reappearing, disappearing, cloaking, and it was this one. Check it out. He materializes through the window, and watch the ladder down here at the bottom right. You're gonna see it move. Look, same movement he did at Skinwalker Ranch, the one I just showed you in March. Now watch this ladder. See it move? Now you can go back and watch it again yourself. Okay, here's this one again. And this is the actual close-up of him, and he's doing the same thing. Watch, you're gonna see him. Look, there he goes. Same thing in the other video. I know it's authentic. This is how I know. This is what they do. This is how you know when a video is fake or real. This is not made up, guys. This is the real deal. There he is. Watch this one more time. Same behavior. Totally different video. Older video. Same stuff. Watch the ladder. He's up to something, just like the other one was up to something. He's got an agenda, folks. Look, there he goes. Leave your comments. Tell me what you think.
They're basically a city underground. Now there are 131 active deep underground military bases in the United States. There's 1,477 of them worldwide. What you call high tech. We have nothing like this on the surface. These mega bases are gobbling up our gross national product. Right now we're spending 28% of the gross national product on building underground bases. Each one has an average cost of $17 to $19 billion. And the black budget is dead wrong. It sidesteps the United States Congress and its Constitution of its people and says you're a bunch of morons you don't need to know. Each one is built in the site. It used to be, it'd take a year to 2 years to build each one, and now they're capable of building a couple of them a year. The infamous Area 51, S4, S2, a CIA base. The high-speed railways, the magneto-leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. It employs over 18,000 workers who work in shifts of 12 hours at a whack. Most of them work in the cover of darkness. Each with an average capacity, capable of basically a city underground, roughly 4.25 cubic miles hollowed out underground. They have boring machines, for instance. They don't bore, they literally vitrify and melt the rock.